Episode number 113 with Steve and Mike. Welcome to the Heads Up Poker Podcast. This is Steve Barton.
This is Mike Snyderman.
How the hell are you, Mike?
I'm doing terrible, Steve.
Are you?
No, I'm actually okay. Normally you ask me how I am, and I'm doing. Then I say, well, I'm doing great, and then I bitch about how life is just a one ordeal after another.
Yeah, just steamrolling right over you. I was kind of expecting that and preparing for it, but
so let's do the opposite.
Okay.
No, I don't know. Nothing real new. Back from vacation, back to the real world.
How was it? You had a blast?
Yeah, vacation was great.
Good.
I had me and Jonah's mother get along pretty well, but just to give a little anecdote that I returned and I rented a game truck.
A game truck?
For Jonah's birthday party on this Sunday to show up at a public park.
I
told
what's
Meredith,
a game truck? I don't know what that is.
I told Meredith I'd pay for everything, but you have to organize it and handle it and invite everyone. So the game truck pulls in. It's got a bunch of like TVs inside, so the kids can go on and play video games.
Okay. How much did that run you?
$400.
Okay, all right. I didn't even know that game trucks were a thing. Okay, is it like Xbox games or is it like Pac-Man, the big? They had
Xbox and they had Wii's and they had all sorts of different games the kids could choose from. So a couple kids played Minecraft and a few kids were playing some shooter game. Then a couple kids playing football. So. But anyways, my son's mother did not get a permit. So they played I had this thing rented for a couple hours, and they were playing for like 30, 40 minutes, and then some guy comes up and says, "Where's your permit?"
Oh, no.
And I'm like, "I don't have one," and I just sent the truck on its way.
Oh, God.
So, and then we had trouble finding a place to eat, too, because there was no permit. Anyways, that's the first time I've done that in 2 years, Steve, is bitch about my son's mother, right? Well, there's a problem. I mean, I'm a flake, too, so you get two of them together, and it's not exactly,
It's not exactly a match made.
But anyways, back to the real world, job search, etc. I don't really want to go into the details on that. Although, I'm still going to be playing a little poker.
Yeah. Well, I'm
debating whether to, I don't have the bankroll for it, but there's $1 million tournament at Commerce this weekend.
Oh.
$1,100 buy-in.
Oh, that's a little beyond me.
But you never know.
Do they have other games, or is that the only one?
Oh, no, the Commerce Poker Series is like ridiculously long and robust, like 6 weeks long and all sorts of different buy-ins. I'm guessing this weekend they might not have anything else, but,
Okay. All right. Yeah. We got a couple of reviews.
Okay.
And this one says, this is from Gutito. Says 5-star review, thank you. Free poker strategy. One conscientious host and one funny host. I wonder which one's which. The strategy content is very useful and presented in an entertaining manner. I really appreciate this show, and thank you, Steve and Mike. Well, thank you, sir. And we got another one here from The Real Deal. He says, getting to know Steve Barton is the best super humble guy and a great poker player in his own right. If you love poker and like to talk poker and want to learn poker...
Steve, when did you start calling yourself The Real Deal, by the way, and writing your own reviews?
Subscribe to this podcast.
Oh. I mean,
Oh, that was great.
Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, when I was first reading that, I'm like, my first thought actually was, I wonder if someone's messing with me. That's very cool. Very cool. Oh, I've on a tangent here, flashy light. I just saw a squirrel. I started experimenting with something, and I talked about it on I think like a month or so ago, and it's cold showers. I was listening to another podcast, and they were talking about the benefits of cold showers. And there's I did my own research and went on Google for half an hour, and it's supposed to increase your immune system and up your metabolism and wake you up and
Hmm.
all this stuff. And I thought, I'm kind of an experimenting kind of guy, and I figured, what the hell, I'll give this thing a shot. And it's pretty brutal when you step into the shower and you just turn on the cold and you don't even touch the hot. I mean, the first 30 seconds, it never seems to get any easier. You know what I mean? You're just torturing yourself for those first 30 seconds. But then after that, your body starts to kind of feel a little bit warm. And some of the benefits I've noticed about it is like kind of late in the day, well, maybe afternoon, like after lunch, I kind of get that, you know, like after lunch grog where, normally I'd take a 15 or 20-minute nap and then I feel ready to go after that. Well, with these cold showers, if I don't get that nap, I don't really notice that lull, you know? And then I started doing more research on this. And there's some guys that even have like a cooling pad that you sleep on. So you sleep cold. And so I started experimenting with that. And I'd get, those gel ice packs that you put in the freezer, like when you roll your ankle or something to wrap around your foot.
Right.
I throw one of those underneath the sheets and sleep on that.
Hmm.
And one big difference I've noticed about that is I don't need as much sleep. For some reason, sleeping with your body at a cooler temperature than you normally would causes you to sleep faster, I guess, or not need as much sleep. So instead of needing 6 or 7 hours of sleep, now I'm down to 5 or 6. It's knocked like an hour off of it. So it's pretty cool. I did get an email from a listener, and he was saying with the cold showers, he said, start off with the water warm, and then as you progress through the shower, slowly turn the dial down to where you're eventually only cold. And I tell you what, that I was getting ready to give up on these cold showers because it was just freaking brutal. But since I started doing that, it's bearable. But one thing I've noticed,
That's funny. I just Googled. I was, trying to look for help with diets, like how to lose a weight. And this one guy said he lost a bunch of weight by walking around with a chunk of ice up his ass. He was so uncomfortable and in pain he couldn't even walk to the refrigerator. It restricted his movement.
Oh, you laugh, but there is a benefit that I've noticed to this, and without changing anything in my diet or my workout routine, without changing anything, I mean, at work I still have a bowl of ice cream after lunch and then a bowl of ice cream after dinner, which is probably one of the worst things that I could do, but I've lost 5 pounds and I'm actually starting to get like a 6-pack. And the only thing I've done is take cold showers and put an ice pack underneath my bed when I go to sleep.
Huh.
So I researched more about that, and they said with it upping your metabolism, I don't understand why, but it ups your metabolism and it makes you lose weight. And I mean, I've literally changed nothing. You know what I mean? And it seems to be working. So I'm pretty stoked. I'm kind of curious where this is going to go. I was looking into some cooling pads. They have this chili pad that you can buy that you plug it in and it just circulates cold water underneath the mattress. But for a king size bed, they're like over $1,000. I'm like, oh my god, I'll wait until a little bit more wealthy to get that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I won't be. Now, if for some reason while you're doing this, your cock grows thicker, then let me know. That's when I'll.
Oh, that definitely is not happening. Every time I step out of the shower, I cannot even see my testicles.
Move into a goddamn igloo if that's what if that works.
Well,
Did you finish reading the review from? I cut you off there. No.
He said if you love poker and talk poker and want to learn more about poker, subscribe to this podcast.
Thumbs
I
up, man.
wholeheartedly agree.
Terrific.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Thank you guys for the reviews. It's very cool. You guys can leave us a review. We'll read it on the air. Log into your iTunes account and then click on the ratings and reviews tab. Type in heads up.
Steve, have you ever had like a passion in life where after investing some time and effort into it, you've like shrugged and say, "What the fuck am I doing?" Like drinking the water a lot each day. That obviously has health benefits.
Yeah.
And once you ever decided to do that, that was a lifetime commitment, pretty much, on your part.
Yeah. I every night before I go to sleep, I just get a big glass of water. It's
Um,
probably holds a quart, and I
no,
just
we'll see. I mean, the cold shower thing, I'm not going to be too dismissive of it, but that sounds like giving up the pleasure of the hot shower for the misery of the cold shower. I would need to see some real meaningful change in my life, I think, to notice. But
it's not easy.
right.
I heard who Tim Ferriss is. He wrote the 4 Hour Work Week, and
Name sounds familiar, but no, I haven't read any of his books for sure.
anyways, he's one of these guys that he'll hear about something like this, and then he just jumps all in and tests it, and then writes a book about it. I mean, this guy's just he's a rock star. Anyways, he was talking about the cold showers and the cold bed and all that stuff, and he sounded completely sold. He even got the chili pad, and that's just become a part of his regular routine. So he runs with it as well, and it Jocko Willink.
Nope.
He does it. Anyways, okay. He does the same thing. But
His name is Jocko.
Jocko, yeah. This guy used to be a
Jocko?
Navy SEAL. Like when you look at him, you're just like he's a very intimidating dude. I've never met him in person, but if you just Google Jocko Willink, he's probably one of the most impressive alpha males you'll ever see. It's it's pretty impressive. Yeah, the guy's just a certified badass. But
So what is his deal?
he's
Is that what his business card says? Because I used to have one that said that, certified badass, but I was mocked for it actually. So.
The wifey's out in Barcelona. I'm kind of a bachelor right now. The wife's out in Europe right now on a cruise with her mom.
I think I follow her on Instagram, I think. So I think I might have just seen a couple pictures. I'm like, oh, she's somewhere cool.
Yeah, and they flew into Barcelona, and they stayed there for I think 3 nights, and then they went on the cruise, and I think the cruise wraps up here. And today's only the 15th, so I'm still going to be a bachelor another 6 days or so. And they stayed in this hotel. By the way, if you guys are ever in Barcelona and you're thinking about staying at the Hotel Onyx in Rambla, I would highly not recommend it because their first night there, they got robbed. They put their stuff in their room, and they put all their money and wallets and stuff in a locked suitcase. And then they left the room. They went to go eat dinner, and when they came back, all their bags were gone through, and they were missing almost $600. Thank God they didn't take their passports and their credit cards and all that stuff, but they did snag the money. And so after some investigation, you know how they have those little key cards for the rooms? Well, they can go into the computer and see, when each key card was used and who it was used by. So my wife went down to reception and they looked it up, and they found out that someone from the hotel used a key card to enter the room while they were gone. We're like, perfect, there's our proof right there. So she went back to the police department, filed a report, and they go back and look at the entries, and now the entry was changed. And instead of saying that it was someone from the hotel, that same entry and same timestamp is there, but now it says that the client entered the room, that my wife did. And we're like, what the hell? So we narrowed it down. We figured out the two people that did it. And I talked to the guy on the phone. His name's Jorge. And I'm like, look, dude, this can go one of two ways. You can either give him the money back, or I just ain't going to fucking stop. I'll keep going until I get the owner of the hotel and get you fired. Just return the money and we'll call it clean. And the guy basically just told me to go F myself. And so I've been on the phone. I've probably got 4 hours invested already. And it's kind of getting to the point where I'm like, do I just let this go, or do I keep going until I get this guy gone? I don't know. What would you do in this situation? I'm just so pissed about it. You know what I mean? That the guy's so blatant.
I think maybe we discussed this before. My brother's little rule, which I saw work is there was some moving company or something like that which was supposed to deliver his furniture and promised a date, and then like it's a week, 10 days. And finally he says, listen, I'm internet savvy. I will give myself 40 hours to get every single goddamn website I can to give you and talk about how awful you are and share this story with as many people.
Okay.
So I don't know if that has anything, if you could do that towards the business to get the business owner moving.
Yeah. That's not a bad. Oh, yeah. Okay, I got a bunch of ideas.
Because usually you say that because you take it.
TripAdvisor.
Yeah, these guys,
.com.
yeah. Somehow, if you could, when you were communicating this guy, it was via phone and not text.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be beautiful. You could somehow get a text message saying "F you," blah blah, and be like, "This is a guy who works here." If you had evidence and put up. But I know, like my friend who I stayed with in Rarotonga, because I looked at TripAdvisor, and they had someone who gave them 0 stars, who gave them hell. And right away, she responds to that. I mean, you have to be, well, we're very sorry you didn't enjoy your stay, da-da-da. And you can't really criticize the people, but she looked into this. This one's like, why is this a 3.5-star place? It's a dump. And she kind of could go through TripAdvisor, and the last time they stayed there, they stayed at a place that was like $1,200 a night.
Okay.
And this time they stayed at a place $300 a night. So, of course, it doesn't have some of the amenities that they're used to, and she was kind of going through how these particular people were like a pain in the ass because there's like a free, continental breakfast, and these people want to know, well, I want an omelet right now. Basically just people who like bitching and moaning.
Yeah, yeah.
But, she had to respond. You know what I mean? This is not good for her business.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know if that is a possibility, but just saying, I'm going to get angry unless you give me my money if you have no legal recourse.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, that's the way I would take it.
Yeah, I like your idea. That's good.
Come up
That's
with
good.
something else, just, come up with some bullshit. Google like travel podcasts. I'm appearing on this or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just get it to the point where this guy's like, okay, I'll send you $600.
Yeah, yeah. And they had the audacity to charge us for the freaking room. I'm like, are you kidding me? Oh, what a sham.
I was robbed at Caesars in Atlantic City by the cleaning lady.
Okay.
And stupidly, I left money actually in my drawer because I had the thing clicked, no cleaning service.
Yeah.
And then I come back I was there for like a week, and after like 6 days, I saw that the room was clean. And then right away I knew.
Yeah.
Because I knew exactly how much cash was which is remarkable that I actually knew how much cash it was, but I just counted it. And there was, I think, $200 off it. And they're like, well, it was skimmed. And they're like, well, we really can't. And they checked it. Yes, this cleaning lady went in at such and such an hour. I'm like, well, there have been problems before. And basically, they just want you to bear it. They're like, well, if you want to call the police, there's nothing we can really do. We can't prove. If you want to call the police, that's fine and fill out a report. But then just letting you know, you'd have to. I was told from Connecticut, you'd probably have to drive down here to court, for $200. Kind of almost like, Yeah, I could have lost that playing slots or something, I guess. I don't know. So they're just trying to discourage me for action. Afterwards, somebody... So I just assumed at the very least I was getting like a free room.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I'm like, well, what are you going to do about my hotel room? They're like, well, nothing. I mean, maybe they thought I made this up just to get the hotel room.
I never thought about that. I guess people could just make it up.
But I was talking about someone afterwards. He's like, don't even go to security. Just call the cops. If they're calling you on that, bring the cops in.
Yeah.
I want to report. And then, start threatening with this and that and da-da-da, I'll never stay. I mean, I'm so passive, I would just rather, you know what I mean? So, but.
I kind of wish I had an element of that to where I could just just let it go. But the audacity of this guy was just, what a pompous prick. And I'm like, you know what? screw you. I'm coming after you. It's out of freaking principle now. Like you're going down. You
Right.
know it.
And even if they don't do anything, rather than spending these times banging your head against the wall, getting angry about it, you might as well get it angry out in line. And if you can keep two people going in from there to their damn shitty scam business, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I gotta believe if I got 5 minutes on the phone with the owner, that would be all it would take. I mean, imagine you own a hotel and somebody that stayed there just got robbed by one of your employees. You'd be pissed, right?
Right.
That's I think that's all it's going to take. But yeah, I really like your idea about going to because there's so many. I mean, like hardly ever do you go to the hotel anymore and do the booking. You're always going through these Travelocity or Priceline or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And these guys know that stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
there's whole businesses around that where people will like hire someone who keeps total vigilance on people what they're saying about you online.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyways, I mean that's my suggestion. I mean, I would probably I'm just like such a wimp with these things, and I have such a horrible temper. I might have told you this story where once I can't remember what it was, but I had to get like $1,000 worth of work done on my car.
Mm-hmm.
And then literally like as I'm driving out of the place, I like a half mile out, I hear like metal clank, and I reach under and some piece of the vehicle has fallen out, including a wrench. I swear to God, I'm not making this up. Like they half screwed the thing, and they have to half screwed the thing up, and I just took it to another shop
Oh, you didn't even go back.
and paid for it again.
Oh, okay.
I mean, because if I went back there, I was going to take the fucking wrench out and I mean,
You were
if there was
gonna be
even
throwing
one
chairs
second,
and shit.
like
Yeah.
one little smile, So I don't know. It's just it's only like 5% of the population that's just fucking total douchebag.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, my buddy just he's always laughing because I always have these stories of just getting super angry and being in these situations. And he had one of these the other day, which I mean, this would have just sent me over the edge. I don't know. He was at some school on like a Sunday. I forget what the school was doing, but he was there for like a basketball game. He was there for a basketball game, and it was like, it's one of those. And his daughter got a bloody nose,
Mm-hmm.
and he's running around, and the bathroom is locked. So he's like standing, and he's kind of, the kid like a pretty bad bloody nose, and the kid, of course, is in a panic. So he's standing over the water fountain, like like trying to take care of it and holding the nose, and there's blood dripping, of course, on the floor. The janitor comes by.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what the hell are you doing? And he's like, this is some guy who's obviously getting paid for like a full, probably overtime on his day off,
Yeah.
and just sitting around absolutely doing not a goddamn thing. He has to wait 5 hours till the basketball court's done, and then mop it up.
Yeah.
And my buddy just said, and then he was sitting there, it's like, you can't do that. And then my buddy's like, do you mind opening the fucking bathroom door here so I can get some tissue paper and all this? And the guy was sitting there. Then the guy was like smiling, like smirking at him, because like this is his way of fighting back. He wasn't moving for anybody.
Yeah.
He wasn't opening the bathroom door. So once a month you have to deal with someone like this, whether it's on the phone or going at some business at a poker table, and it's just. It's just you got to suck it up, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe this is a lesson more on me than it really is on anything else. How I deal with it.
No, like I said, I'm like the same way. I just need to. I just like try to forget these things. Like the day.
I was so pissed. I mean, like my wife, she took a video the second time of the entries. I wish she would have taken one of the first, but she wasn't thinking of it at the time. And, this guy is just, it makes me wonder. I'm like, that seems like drug addict behavior. Like that's the kind of shit that drug addicts would do. Make something completely obvious, like who stole it, and not even bother to cover up your tracks or anything. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, that's probably what it is. Now that I think about it, it probably hooked on coke or something, and that's his only way of paying for it. You know?
Yeah, but you gotta these things like they like it they just wear on you. You can say, well, it's easier just to ignore it than get into World War III over some small point of honor or financial whatever. But it's just gonna bother you if you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got to. Yeah, I don't know.
Gotta
This is
let it
why
go.
because I'm such a wuss. It's like always like the women of my true loves are. Just women who just don't put up with any crap. Like it's like good to have one of those around.
My
I
wife's
might have
the
told
opposite.
the ex fiance we drove through a Dunkin' Donuts for coffee,
Mm-hmm.
and I paid for a large, but they gave me a small.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, well, screw it, whatever. I just want a little caffeine. She's like, no. And she grabbed the receipt and grabbed the coffee and like I'm going in there to talk to him, and she like came back like 20 minutes later. She was on such a rampage that I think she wanted to go in just not to let because they'd done it to her before, I guess.
Okay.
Like I think she was
Okay.
demanding the person get fired, and I mean probably just like wildly irrational,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
still. You know what I mean? I think I said. I mean, I'm the guy. If I see my waitress spit in the soup, I'll just push the soup to the side, pay for my meal, and go somewhere else. You know what I
It
mean?
goes my wife's like that. She's very passive, and when the guy lied to her and showed her the second entry, she's all, "Well, yesterday it had the same date and the same timestamp, but it said that it was someone from the hotel." And he's like, "Well, that doesn't make any sense because it's impossible to change this." And that's right there where I would have lost my shit. But she was just like, "Oh, okay," and then that's it. I'm like, "Oh God, I wish I was there."
Yeah, I don't know, Steve. Now all
Whatever.
these memories are. I mean, I've bitched about the James guy who I hired for the the filming project. You were there the day where he just didn't do a goddamn thing.
Oh, God, the guy was
I
just
told
a pile.
Carlos that once because I wanted to have a couple spots where you're actually discussing hands. You and Carlos were walking about the park and kind of having a discussion, civil argument about what to do in a certain spot. And all
Yeah.
he did is snap a couple photos. He didn't even take a video.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, and where he just cost me money and just sat there for hours.
Oh, we missed the train because he was such a slowpoke that
Right,
he
and
wouldn't get
then
on
when
the train.
we were playing cards, he wouldn't. I mean, he was like legitimately so damn fat. I don't think he can move anymore.
Yeah.
He's probably, but deciding this, he's like, no, it's better. I was telling him to stand up and take some photographs. He's like, no, it's better here, and he just didn't get out of his chair.
He's just sitting there texting on his phone
And
the
at the
entire
end of the
time.
day, oh yeah, not only that, he paid. Remember, he called the Uber, the Uber limousine, so it had to
Yes.
cost me $35 to go 2 blocks.
Yeah.
But anyways, at the end of the day, I gave him big. I paid him for every minute he was with me.
Yeah.
As a little, just a matter of self-respect, I should have. I'm like, well, it's easier this. What's an extra $60? Even though, Anyways, Steve, we've already discussed how lame I am in such agonizing detail. I really don't need to offer any more anecdotal proof, do I?
I've got an email here. We got an email from Reynard Luna. I'm trying to remember if you met him at the last WSOP.
Got a
friend
cool
of mine.
name.
What's that?
Oh, Raymond?
Reynard.
Oh, I don't know. I'm thinking of
He's,
your buddy. Who's your buddy? Who's the dealer? Is that Ray?
Yeah, Ray. Yeah, he goes
Okay.
by Ray as well.
Oh,
He went by-
this is who that is. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so you have met him, right?
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah. Anyways, he's a dealer at my local casino, and he was playing down at the LAPC, and anyways, he had an interesting spot come up here. Not so much strategy as much as it is like a ruling on the floor.
Okay.
Right? But first, before we go into that, let me tell you guys about Elliot Roe. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. Get your 7-minute Tilt-Buster. It's a little MP3. It's a hypnosis tape that you listen to before you play. It'll influence your play on a subconscious level, and it'll keep you from tilting. I use them. Mike uses them. I listen to these before I play any hand of poker. If I'm going to go play live, I listen to it out in my car. If I'm going to play online, I lay down in my bed, put on a little 10-minute MP3 of the type of game that I'm going to play. So this isn't when I started out, this was just a hobby, but my game has gone to a whole new level, and what I'm doing is working. So follow my routine. Whether you gamble $100 a week or $1,000 a day, have some discipline, have some control, and have a warm-up routine. He's got Relaxing the Poker Mind, Hypnosis for Life value pack. He's got a Mindset Booster, Leak Buster. Use the code HUPOKER when you get yourself your MP3. Get it right to your phone and score yourself a little discount. Okay. Email from Raynard.
Put a little shout out for TPE too.
Yes, Tournament Poker Edge.
TPE is the nuts, as we've said again and again.
Yes,
they've got a lot of good hand histories that just went up. One with Andrew, one with Dylan.
Dylan Tomasi, yes. I'm going through his series right now. I'm on video 4. I think he's got 7 of them up. And very, very smart guy. Some of the plays that he's making, is really interesting to me because they're plays that I personally would not make. But, I'd kind of pause the video and then run through the math, and I'm like, oh, he's right. I mean, like, he had ace-queen offsuit, and he had 49 big blinds, and he was already thinking ahead that this is a great 5-bet bluffing hand when he just 3-bet. And I'm like, see, that's just not something that I think I would do. I think I would fold after the guy 4-bet me. But... very, very cool. Great community. When you sign up, use the code HUP month, HUP quarter, or HUP year. Score yourself a little discount and throw back some to the podcast. It's a win-win. But yes, awesome community. I wouldn't have met you, Mike, if it hadn't been for them, and more importantly, you would not have met me.
Okay, we'll move on.
No bad joke. Okay, Raynard. We just started day 2 of an LAPC event. Blinds are at 4 and 8K with a 1K ante. A few hands in, I'm under the gun with ace-queen off. Grab my stack of 81K, so he's got 10 big blinds. And verbally say all in and physically put my chips out towards the center of the table. So a good shove with 10 big blinds. It folds to the hijack, whose head is down and he's wearing headphones. He throws out 4 chips, 2 5K chips and 2 1K chips. So he throws out 12K when Raynard's already moved in for 81,000. As the dealer says, hey, there's an all-in over here, both the cutoff and button fold immediately after they see the chips hit the table. Not the dealer's fault at all. He stops the action, and he did his job. As Raynard would know, because he's the dealer. Dealer proceeds to call the floor over. What's the correct ruling here? So something I think before we move on is that, blind levels have just gone up to 4 and 8K, and as Raynard moves all in for 81, this guy throws out a bet of 12,000. So it's not a legal raise, and it's more than a call. So the guy with the headphones, going on to the email, headphones guy says, I didn't even look up. If I saw that, I wouldn't have been in, and I thought we were still at 3K, 6K. When he said that, I thought, well, now I really want you to call because I probably have you dominated.
Sure.
So do you want to say what you would do here in this situation, or what do you think the floor should do?
I guess he called the all in, right? That's the one chip rule. With the all, if you just throw one chip in, you've called.
I was thinking he should either have to surrender the 12K or he should have to call the all in, like you said, right?
Yeah, you can't take the chips back. You can't
take it back. That's off the table.
Yeah, I don't know if the one chip rule is obviously if you just throw one chip and you've called. If you throw 4 out like you're delivering from a bet, then everybody knows you weren't meaning to call. So I don't know if you would go by that, the intention of the player. So So I don't know if the floor gave him a favorable ruling. I don't know if that's viable. Ray would know better than me if that's. But usually, if someone says all in, then unless there was a dealer fault, or the dealer didn't say all in or throw the button or do anything, then yeah, it's this guy's responsibility to know the action before him.
Yeah, yeah.
So that should be a call.
I think so, and but my logic is a little bit different though. And I went through the God, I can't remember. It's an app on my phone. It shows all the tournament rulings, like the standardized tournament rulings. Ray's probably listening to this and saying it right now, but I can't remember what it is. But anyways, and the standard tournament rules said that if you put in 1.5 times the blind, then that's considered a raise. So in this case, like if he had put in 9,000, 10,000, or 11,000, that would be just considered, calling the big blind. But if you put in 12,000 or more, then that would be considered a raise, right? Because it's 1.5 times the 8K.
Okay.
So I was thinking he was going to have to put in the whole thing, but it said the ruling was because he put in multiple chips in the pot, and it's enough to force a min raise. He's forced to call the 81K. And then he says, can you force someone to put in chips? He was definitely not shooting an angle. I think so. I think this is kind of more a lesson than anything else to anyone listening, is that you really got to watch the action at the table. And if you're the guy with the hoodie and the headphones on looking down at your iPhone, this is going to happen to you eventually. You know what I mean? Like you really got to watch the action and be focused on your play.
Yeah, there was total chaos for a month at Ocean's 11.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we got into that because for just those spots, trying to protect, they didn't want like an amateur casual player. Someone says all in and then throwing a couple chips out, and not realize there was an all in somehow.
Yeah.
Not looking the button. There probably was a time where some old guy was trying to bet small and didn't realize I don't know what caused it. So then it became you either have to say call, or you have to put all your chips in. The one chip just means someone could bet 5,000 on the river, you throw $5 out, and all that means is you're calling $5 of the bet. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
That chip is in the pot, but it doesn't mean you've called.
Okay.
So this was leading to like all sorts of like angle shooting. This one kid was doing it like all the time. I fell for it. Like 3 different times you do it because someone says all in, you just throw a chip in, and then the all in turns their hand over, and you know if you have the best hand or not.
Oh yeah, you could really angle shoot with that.
So that guy did that to one guy who was a prop. Then the prop did it to someone else. They sent the prop home, and it's like
prop did it?
Yeah.
Wow.
So then so a couple people got like kicked out for doing it, but I guess for this one kid who did it, got kicked out twice. It's better for him to get kicked out for a day, which is all they kicked him out for, rather than pay someone off with $2,000.
Yeah.
It happened to me once too. This kid did it to me, but it's like it's funny because you watch it again and again, but you're so used to just throwing that chip out there.
Yeah.
Or seeing someone throw a chip out that when they throw the chip out, you just announce your hand and turn it over. So it was funny. Like even that day, it's like, I can't believe he just did that. And like 2 hours later, he did it to me. You know what I mean? It was like...
Yeah. I think there is, and there's something written in the rules that, a lot of this is at the tournament director's discretion. And, there are times where there's an amateur player at the table. And, it sounds like kind of what happened at Ocean's 11, they're just not as familiar with the rules. Maybe this is their second or third time playing poker, and they're nervous as it is. And if you give a bad ruling in a spot like this, then you could really jade that player and, remove $5,000 a year from the poker community that is just gone like a fart in the wind, So I think there does need to be a little bit of discretion, especially when it's an obvious amateur player. You can kind of cater a little bit more to them so you don't shun them from the poker community. But this one with the guy in his headphones and looking down and just not paying attention, I say that's on him.
Yeah. For sure, and this would be. I mean, I can't stand the people who take too much time, the tankers, and I've often used that as a point of emphasis. At least get a clock pre-flop for these people who don't even look at their hand, and ask the dealer to repeat the action. I don't know if you've ever
Yeah.
been one of those guys. They don't even look at their hand. There's someone will say, 15,000. Then they'll turn to the dealer and said 15,000 to me. Like I was with one of these. But if you're someone who knows sometimes you're spacing out and stuff like I done, I definitely have not known that people have bet when it's got to me before,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that.
I have
Um,
too. It's probably cost me I don't know, $80 a year or something. You go and call, and then you realize that a guy has raised in front of you, and now you have the decision: what do I do with 6, 7 of hearts here? Is it better? Am I better off just folding, or do now I put in another $20, or what? What do I do? But I look at it like, yeah, that's on me. I should have just been paying attention. But results, he says he puts in 81K and both blinds fold. So now we table our hands, and I have ace queen off, and he has ace nine of clubs. Flop is 8, 7, 6, one club. Not the best flop. Turn jack of clubs, river 6 of clubs for runner flush. I love that I have him dominated, but I hate the results. Yeah, no kidding. I bust for him in cash.
mm,
Yeah. He says later, I talked to the floor man afterwards, and he said he ruled that way because it was more the big blind, that why he didn't give him an option to either forfeit the 12K or call. If he'd only put out 8K, then he would have given him an option. So the fact that he put out 12 was what kind of sealed his fate. So I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I agree with that. If the guy would have put out 8K and then realized, I would have said, okay, you could either call or you could just forfeit your 8K. But since he threw out 12, that kind of sealed his fate. And he also said, too, that it was because there was action behind him. So this guy puts out 12K, and then, the two players behind him were probably looking down at 7-3 offsuit or something horrific, and just instantly threw it in. And that's also what kind of sealed his fate, was that there was action behind him, so now he's stuck. But yeah, that's a interesting spot.
yeah, yeah. It's amazing how often you need rulings at the table, where it seems like it's all pretty straightforward,
Yeah.
the game, but somehow at least once a week at the casino, I see the floor has to go back and look at the cameras.
Oh, really? They do that often?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's always a question of if somebody bet. I'm trying to think the last one I saw. If someone bets out of turn, kind of the bet. That's usually that's a pretty common one. Yeah, there's one where some lady was threw out some chips, and she claimed, and somehow it was pretty much the same thing. She bet out of turn, and she claimed she didn't bet out of turn, and they had to look to see it was relevant and whether or not it was a raise somehow. So.
Meanwhile, it holds up the game for 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, they're pretty efficient with that, but that's always.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've got some strategy hands.
Okay.
Okay. This one is from Ignition. Okay. I tried something different this tournament, and what I did, well, not this tournament, but this session. This was not yesterday, but the day before, when we were both grinding.
Okay.
And I raised 3x throughout the entire tournament from every position except under the gun. And under the gun, regardless of if I decided to raise, I would make it a min raise. And I'm not really sure why I did that. I guess just to try something new and experiment. I think it probably came from when I had Greg Raymer on, and I was telling him that I was raising 3x under the gun and then min raising on the button, and he suggested that I reverse that because your range is going to be stronger under the gun than it is on the button. You're going to be raising 50% of your hands on the button, and so you want to make it more so that the blinds are less likely to call. And I thought, that might be good logic. So I kind of did that, but only min raising under the gun and then 3x everywhere else. So Just food for thought. Okay, so this one I've got Queen Jack suited under the gun, and we're at a full ring table, nine-handed. And this one, I wouldn't normally raise this under the gun, but the table seemed really passive. We've only
Queen
played
Jack
about
suited? You don't
Queen
raise
Jack
under the
suited.
gun?
Yeah. What would you normally just dump that, or what would you do?
No, never. How many big blinds do you have?
We got 88.
Oh, I mean, come on.
Okay, all right.
I mean, I don't know if it's right, but yeah, I would. I can't. Yeah, Queen Jack suited is. Yeah.
Especially for a min raise, right? I think it'd be worse if you're 3xing, but
Well, if you've been, I mean, just we got to be. If you're raising your whole range 3x, it's fine. As long as you don't.
okay, okay. Yeah, I went for a min raise. I think I'm probably folding ace jack off here and like that, but I don't know. It looked pretty at and the main reason I did this was because the table is very passive. Everybody's got a little rock symbol next to their name here. So I min raise. The blind levels are 30, 60. We have Queen Jack of spades, and I min raise to 120. It folds around to button, cutoff, hijack, low jack. Folds around to the low jack. He calls 120. And then the small blind calls and the big blind folds. Okay, so Queen Jack of spades under the gun. Total pot is 420. And we get a call from the low jack and a call from the small blind.
Okay.
The stats on, well, there's so few hands, it doesn't even matter. Okay, we go to the flop, and the flop is the Queen of Hearts, Ten of Spades, Jack of Hearts. So we flop top two pair on a very wet board. We've got Queen Jack of Spades, and there's the Ten of Spades out there. It's Queen, Jack, 10, two hearts, and a spade.
Okay.
The small blind checks, and now it's on us.
I'm gonna bet. I'm probably on the bigger side.
Okay.
290. I don't know.
290? Okay. What's your reasoning for that? Just because the board's so wet?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you want to inevitably they're going to have do well for value / protection. You got to charge them. You kind of feel like one of them's going to call, right? One of them has King X for the open ender.
I would think so, yeah.
You block all the pairs, but yeah, that's my first instinct. I never know if my first instinct is correct.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree. I think that maybe even go a little bit bigger. Maybe go
Yeah.
like 333 or hell, I don't even think like clicking pot here would be bad.
No.
You know, I don't for whatever reason I click half pot and I bet 210, which I think is I agree with you. When I was reviewing this, I'm like, maybe this is a good one to bring up because
No.
I think my bet sizing was too small. But I bet 210, and they both call. So the low jack calls and the small blind calls. We have 88 big blinds. The low jack has 134, and the small blind has 62. So we're super deep here. They both call, and the turn is the eight of spades. So we have Queen Jack of spades, and the board now is Queen of Hearts, Jack of Hearts, 10 of spades, 8 of spades. So I'm kind of in a love-hate relationship with this turn. The small blind checks, and now it's on us. We got 1050 in the pot. We've got 49. We've got 5K behind. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess
See, had I bet
check.
pot on the
Check.
flop, then we could
Check.
almost take nines out of their range, right? Unless they've got like, I don't know. I was going to say Jack nine of hearts, but that wouldn't make sense unless they got like 10 nine of hearts or something.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, unless they actually have King 9, somebody flop the nuts too. But even that, they probably raise with the two hearts on board and all the two pair combos. I don't know. Check call. I mean, if
Yeah,
you bet, I guess you're still deep enough. If you bet and they raise, unless they jam, you can actually still call because you're getting the right price.
because now we got the flush draw.
But yeah, I worry that no, I think that they probably don't have a lot of nines in their range. Maybe you're right. Maybe you should be betting for mate to make that King X's pay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think the nines that could be in their range would be. Are they calling that flop with Queen Nine? See, the problem is I just didn't bet big enough on the flop, so I haven't really narrowed their range much at all. Um, 10-9 would make sense if they were hearts. Um, Queen Nine off, maybe from the small blind. That I don't know. I end up checking. I went for the check call line,
Okay.
and it checks through.
Okay.
We get a river of a 10 of hearts. So the board now is Queen of Hearts, Jack of Hearts, 10 of Spades. Turn is the 8 of Spades, and the river is the 10 of Hearts. So the flush gets there. We still have top two pair. We haven't improved. And now there's a pair on the board. We've got Queen, Jack of Spades. The small blind checks, and now it's on us. What are you thinking here?
Hmm. Well, they definitely have 10x. Both of them have 10x in their range.
Mm.
They both have flushes in their range. I mean, I think it's a check fold. Although if somebody bets really small, it gets really cute. Um, you may be tempted to call.
Okay.
But that's kind of the nut worst card, isn't it? I guess ace would be the nut worst card. But
I was thinking Ace of Hearts is probably the worst, or King of Hearts, but I mean 10 of Hearts is in the top three at least of the cards I did not want to see. Yeah, I check, and now the low jack bets 800 into 1050. The small blind folds, and it's on us.
I think that's a pretty easy fold. But not that they're never bluffing. When both of you check the flop, check the turn and the river, this guy might be trying to steal it with his king jack. But yeah, if he is, good for him.
Yeah, see, my logic here was I was thinking that, okay, if this guy's sitting here with King Jack, or that's about all he could have. I mean, King 10 beats us. King Queen, wouldn't he just check behind and go for showdown? Or is he turning King Queen into a bluff?
No,
I don't think so, right? Like, is
I
it? I think this is so rarely ever a bluff
I
that.
think it's like I said, I think it's a pretty easy fold. But
Yeah, I think you're right. I think so too. I end up calling. He shows down Ace six of hearts, so he rivered the flush, and
well, it wouldn't have, especially when they're that deep. It wouldn't have really. You bet pot on flop, he calls, and yeah, he might even call pot on the turn as well, probably.
yeah, yeah. He's got a great hand for this. I mean, he's got a gut shot to the nuts, and then he's got the nut flush draw, and yeah, that was just a fold. That was a brain fart. But let's see. So that was ignition, and then I've got two here um, from ACR. This first one is a turbo 10 1200 guarantee. So I think I can't remember. It was a 10 to a $33 buy-in. Those were the tournaments I was playing. If it's 1200 guarantee, I'm leaning. See, but I do remember playing a 33 for like 1200 bucks. That it's somewhere in that range, 10 to $33. Blind levels are 80, 160, and we are on the button. It folds to, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. We got eight-handed. It folds to the low jack again, and at 8160 he makes it 350, and the hijack folds, the cutoff folds, and we're on the button with ace queen of hearts. We've got 5K. There's 710 in the pot. The original raiser has 4,600. Small blind's got 5,600, and the big blind has 3,200. So we've got 32 big blinds, and the opener has 31.
Raise, call it off.
Ah, okay. You're just going, just get it in here?
30 bigs?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, well, you can't raise fold, certainly.
No.
You can, if you raise any flats, you can, get away from a lot of flops. I mean, if his RFI is really low, if he's super passive, maybe you just flat here. Or if the guys behind you are super aggressive and are going to squeeze frequently, then I would flat. But for the most part, this is this is a top hand here.
Okay. The blinds are, after 19 hands, the small blind's 11-5. The other guy is 11-0.
Okay.
So pretty passive. The original opener, we only got 4 hands on, and he's 25-25, so he's raised 1.
Okay.
Really doesn't tell us much. I went for, well, let me click this ahead and make sure I do what I think I did. Yeah. I went for the call, and my logic here was, I remember, who was it on the podcast? It was Monica. She was running through my mind as this hand was played out, and I remember we were talking about 3-betting spots, and she said that she was more likely to flat with things like ace-queen suited and 3-bet with things like ace-queen offsuit, because with the suited, you don't mind going to a flop, but with the offsuit, you'd rather just raise and try to take it down than you would go to the flop because you don't have the flush possibility. Well, you do, but you got to hit 4 cards. And so that's what was kind of going through my mind. But you know what? Looking back at this now, I think you're right. The scenario that I gave her in the other one, I probably didn't have 30 big blinds. Maybe it was a spot where I had like 60, and that would be a lot more relevant than if you're shorter stacked like this.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, first of all, my 3-bet's pretty high.
Okay.
I'd have to look. I wouldn't be surprised if my 3-bet from the button against middle late position opens is probably 15% plus.
Okay.
So if you're going to 3-bet ace-4, the blocking hands,
Yeah.
then 3-bet ace-queen.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's, it depends. I mean, anytime you're willing to get it in with 30 bigs, I guess you're playing high variance, if you want to call it that. But like I said, just because I think of the way I play, I think I've got to 3-bet that hand. I got to put some muscle in my 3-betting range,
Okay.
But well, you're a pretty active 3-better too, but
Yeah, I
probably
probably
not
could be a
as
little bit more. My 3-bet overall is 7%. I haven't looked at it from those scenarios like you're talking about, though, like from the button and from middle positions. I should look that up.
I don't break it down. Yeah, my 3-bet's about 10%, which is probably too high, especially for how people play these days. It's probably, I have not adjusted. But yeah, the difference between 10% and 7% is actually pretty huge.
It's pretty big, yeah. Yeah.
If you look at the range of hands there, so yeah, you're probably for value 3/4 of the time, and I'm only for like 50% of the time, kind of thing, So
Yeah. Okay. You probably do a lot more 4 and 5 betting though than I do, huh?
Yeah, probably. I'm trying to be. I probably flat 3-bets way too much. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm trying to just open less if there's active 3-betters behind me and respect there. Although the other day where was this? This was in like 100K, a big tournament, and I 4-bet ace-queen off, and the guy flatted and a queen on the flop, and it all got in like 75 bigs, and of course he had trapped me with aces.
Yeah.
So anyways, I might have still played the hand properly. I don't even know. But no, you're not making a mistake by flatting there. The only mistake you could make, in my opinion, really almost regardless of the villain, is 3-bet folding.
Yeah, yeah. Or
Unless
open.
you've got 1,000 hands on the guy and his 4-bet percentage is like 1%. Like
Yeah.
literally, he's never popping it back at you with anything less than queens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But so yeah, that would be the only move I don't like. But flatting and 3-betting are certainly both fine.
Okay. I go for the flat. Figure take a flop in position with a nice hand. The small blind and the big blind both come along. So again, we've got ace queen of hearts on the button. The low jack opens to 350. We flat on the button with ace queen of hearts. The small blind and the big blind call.
So you got 9 big blinds in the pot here.
Yeah, we've got 1,500 in the pot.
Yeah, and you got 30 bigs in your stack.
I got 32 in my stack. Yeah, small blind has 19, big blind has 19, and the original opener has 31. The flop is king of clubs, 9 of spades, 4 of clubs. So we whiff, and the small blind checks, big blind checks, original opener checks. We're always checking here, right?
I think so, probably. If you're going to bet here, you got to bet the turn, though, I guess would be my only. Yeah, I mean, I'm checking. Yeah.
Okay, all right, me too. I'm checking. I check, and the turn is the queen of spades. So with ace queen of hearts, we've got on the flop king of clubs, 9 of spades, 4 of clubs, and the turn is the queen of spades. Small blind checks, big blind into 15, 20. He bets 760, so he clicks the half pot button. Original opener folds, and now it's on us.
I think I got a call once.
And what yeah. This was the spot I wasn't sure about. I like what you're saying about 3-bet getting it in on the pre-flop. I think I'm going to play later on today, and I'll put a little sticky pad on my on my thing, 3-bet more from the button. But that's what I'll work on today. But this spot, I went for a fold, and I'm trying to articulate why I did that. There's 2,200 in the pot. The bettor has 2,200 in his stack left. If I call, there'll be $3,000 in the pot. He's got 22 left. I don't know. You think it's a call here?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I mean, I might even call the river too, although I don't. That's probably bad. Well, first of all, he could be betting here 9x. He could be betting a flush draw. So there's certain hands he'd be betting for value or semi bluffs. How often is he betting absolutely nothing? I don't know. I'm trying to think. What would be the HUD stat, which would be really useful right now to make a borderline decision? I would think, like in spots like these, I would probably look to see how high his c-bet percentage is, if I had a lot of hands on him. If it's like 80% plus, it's like, okay, this guy is too greedy post-flop. He's just not giving up on hands enough.
Yeah.
This might be the guy who donks a turn with very little equity. But he's got a shit ton of kings in his range too. So, and obviously you're kind of shortish. So if you want to, if you wanted to fold for that reason, I don't think it's awful. But I don't know. I think I got it. I got to call one.
You peel one here?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I end up going for the fold. I guess my logic was if I call this, then I've got to call a shove on the river. Like, unless maybe it. But see, even if it's a club or a spade. Yeah, I don't know.
If you call here, there's what he only has a half of a pot shove left, or what?
Let's see. If I call here, that would bring the total to about 3K in the pot, and then he'd have 22 behind. So he'd have like a 3/4 pot bet.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough spot. I mean, when you call here, it looks like you got a king a lot of the time. So for him to shove the river, if the flush draws miss, would seem kind of reckless from his point, because it looks like. Actually, if you had a king, you'd almost always bet the flop in position from the button.
I think so. Yeah, if
When
I've
it
got
folds
ace
to you,
king
but
or king
that's
queen here.
when we're all 8 tabling. I don't know how lucid we are with spots like that. Oh, he never has a king. Yeah, I call. I don't, Steve. Like I said, I stress again and again and again. I'm a losing poker player, and I don't know.
You made a
This is
living
what
at
a
cards
lot of these
for over a
spots.
year now.
This is unscientific, but when he bets the turn, a lot of times I might fold just to say, well, because I didn't 3-bet the fucking hand, I deserve to lose this. This guy's got king deuce and blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a weak suited king here would make sense.
Yeah, I mean he's got every king in his range. It's pretty much he's because of pot odds he's going to be calling the pre-flop raise 90% of the time probably.
Yeah.
So it's not like we can say, well, he only has king 10 plus here.
Yeah.
You can never have king 6 king, and start working on hand ranges. We can't reduce his number of kings down to 20. And then say, well, and look at all the 9x and flush draws he has, blah, blah, blah. So you probably made a good fold.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's what I do. It's small blind folds, and we never find out what he has. So, welcome to poker. All right. I got one more.
Yeah, just quickly the pre-flop spot. I mean, I've come around with this is kind of some, especially I think ACR and stuff. You almost have to start. I almost start treating that 30 big blinds like I would previously, like the 15 to 20 bigs.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're getting into just shove territory. In a lot of spots I never would have before. Like 2 years ago, Ace Queen getting it in with 30 bigs would seem kind of too high variance and too reckless to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I've shown enough. Like I think one of the first sessions I had with Mark, it was like somebody opened the button. And I had 23 bigs with pocket deuces in the small blind.
Okay.
And he's like, well, that's an easy shove. I'm like, what? 23 bigs? It sounded crazy to me at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, 3-bet folding is pretty awful there, I think. Although it looks so strong. And if I still, I'm used to the days where I like cute little opens and 3-bets, 3-bet folding off 18 bigs and stuff.
Yeah.
I used to do that all the time, and maybe I should again because I was doing pretty well a few years ago. But anyways, just
definitely
maybe
learned that
to you
one
it
from
seemed
Mark.
like too many chips, at 80, 160 getting 5,000 chips in there. But to me, Ace Queen suited is I'm willing to get in 30 bigs pretty much every day. So
Okay. Yeah, I definitely learned that one from Mark. When you get a button or cutoff open and you're sitting there in the small or big blind with the small pocket pair, as Mark would say, just shove it in. You've got a pair. A pair's hard to get. It's hit at most of his opening range.
Right.
You want to realize your
I
whole
I wonder
equity.
what the max. Mark might even say 30 bigs.
He might. I brought up a spot to him where I had. It was in the low 20s. I don't remember exactly how many big blinds I had, but like you said, he's just like, yeah, this is a snap shove. Get it in. And I was like, what? And that sparked a 5 or 10 minute discussion. And after that, I was like, okay, I'm convinced. Note to self: shove these spots.
Yeah, I don't know.
But all right, one more here.
Okay.
Got let's see. Blind levels now are. Oh, this is a 1K guaranteed hyper turbo mega stack.
1K guaranteed hyper turbo mega stack. Okay.
I think this was a 22 buy-in, if I remember correctly. Okay, it folds around to us. We are in the hijack.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 43 bigs.
Mm-hmm.
And going to our left, so we're in the hijack with 43 bigs. It goes 31 bigs, 35, 15 in the small blind, and 39 in the big blind. And we've got King 4 suited. It was a fairly passive table, so I'm certainly not always raising this, but I thought it was worth a click. What do you think?
Sure.
Okay. I raised a 3x, sticking with my strategy of the day, and the cutoff, button, small blind fold, and the big blind calls. So we've got 35K behind. He has 32K, and the pot is 6,600. The flop is ace of clubs, ace of diamonds, nine of clubs, and we have king four of diamonds. So we got a backdoor flush draw, and that's about it. The small blind, he checks, and on us.
C bet small, and if he calls, I'm probably pretty much done with the hand.
Okay. I'm sorry, not the small blind, the big blind checks. Um, okay, so you're c betting small, like what sizing? Into 6,600.
1900.
Oh, you're going really small. Okay.
Well, that's how I would play an ace, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, checking back's not horrible here. He's got king high is good a fair amount.
Okay. I went.
Delayed C bet looks pretty decent too. But yeah, I mean, my default is always this would be probably a one and done kind of spot for me.
Okay.
Maybe but maybe that's a leak right now. I'm not double barreling enough.
Now, what would you do with a nine here on ace ace nine?
I'd probably bet two.
And what sizing would you use with a nine?
Also for if I had a 9-7, I would definitely bet. I think if I had a king 9, where I'm a little less nervous about some of the overs, you know, maybe I'm more likely to check. Yeah, third pot, same.
Okay. Okay.
I
Yeah,
mean, they do have aces in their range, so obviously any bet me here if the guy can find the nutskis for a check raise, I mean, you just have to fold.
Yeah.
But the fact that you have the backdoor flush maybe would be an argument for checking behind a little more. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I end up betting. I was kind of thinking the same thing. This is probably a one and done. And I went 2,888. So almost 3K into 6,600. So I went less than half pot. But yeah, I kind of like your small sizing there because I'm trying to think what would I do with an ace here. And with an ace, I think I would probably check 80% of the time. And then the times that I did bet, I would probably bet pretty small, like you were saying, like a third or less. You know?
Yeah,
So
if you're going to check a lot of aces, then checking here and then raising any bet he makes where he donk leads would make sense.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Okay, I bet 2,888 and villain calls. So now we've got 12,400 in the pot. And the turn is the queen of hearts. So we have king four of diamonds, and the board is ace of clubs, ace of diamonds, nine of clubs, and the turn is the queen of hearts. So it did not help us in any way. Villain checks with 12-4 in the pot. We checking behind every time here?
Yeah, probably. I mean, if you bet here, you pretty much always either have an ace or nothing.
Yeah.
Although it's real hard for him to call with, obviously, like, pocket sixes or something.
Yeah.
So you will get some folds of hands that beat you. Never getting called by worse.
True. Jack High's not calling here. True. Yes. But Jack 10? But why would he call the flop unless it was Jack 10 of clubs? Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah, I guess there's a couple. Yeah, club. That's right. There were two clubs in the flop, so yeah, he does have some flush draws in there that you beat.
Yeah, he's got flush draws in his range.
again, if his fold to C bet is really, really low for some reason, if it's like my fold to C bet is, I think, the lowest that it's ever been of anybody. Or this is what Mark told me. Mine was like 30% or something. I just don't fold to C bets. But if it was like, yeah, I don't know the magic number where it's just somebody who's really floaty, that would be the reason to double barrel.
Yeah. Okay.
If he doesn't fold to C bets but folds to, but I don't really see any reason to go to war with this hand.
Okay. Okay. We check behind. I was planning on, yeah, if it was a diamond, or a king or something, then that might give us some. And actually, I'd probably check behind that one as well because he still has all aces in his range. But
Right.
yeah, we pick up no equity with the queen. Okay, so we go to the river. Kind of an interesting card. This is a queen of clubs. So with king four of diamonds, the board now is ace of clubs, nine of clubs, ace of diamonds. Turn is the queen of hearts, and the river is the queen of clubs. So the flush gets there, but there's two pair on the board now, aces and queens with the nine.
If he had 9x, then you just sucked out on him.
I just rivered him, yeah. Villain into 12, 436 bets 6218. So that looks like he clicked the half pot button. What are you thinking here?
I mean, I guess he's got an ace or nothing. I don't know. Would he be check calling with a flush?
Check calling the flop, you mean?
No, here on the river, if he has a flush,
Mm-hmm.
would he be betting it or check calling? Probably.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. That was one of the things that was kind of playing into my mind here was if he had a flush on a two pair board like this, he's got to be, if he's betting out here, then it's definitely a bet fold, right?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I will bet a flush on a two paired board on the river if the river was a 9 rather than a queen.
Okay.
I would bet because you can still get called by 10s, jacks, queens, or kings.
Oh, yeah.
Some guy who's suspicious and said, but with the two queens on board, you only got one pair which beats the second pair.
Yeah.
If you're looking to get called by a pair here, to target a pair other than the two pairs on the board, there kind of just isn't one. You know what I mean? So
there's only kings, and I've got one king, and the way he played this, it doesn't feel like he's got kings. Three bet of pre-flop.
So, like I said, he does have like 9x in his range and some smaller pairs if he for some reason didn't raise 10s or jacks or whatever. So you are ahead some of the time. I mean, if he's never betting, if he's never betting a queen, if we knew the hand combinations ahead of time, if he's never betting a queen or a flush here, then that puts us ahead a little more frequently with the king high.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Because he wouldn't be wrong if he calls any pair on that flop. I don't know, out of position. I would probably just fold pocket fives there, saying I don't want to deal with it. I don't think it would be a crazy call, but it's probably supposed to be a fold.
Okay. I went for the call, and my thought was like, okay, pairs that he could have in his range here that he's turning into a bluff are probably 10s and below. I would think he'd 3-bet with jacks plus pre-flop. But then it gets down to what you're saying, like, is he calling us, with pocket fives here on the flop? And I've only got 39 hands on this guy. I don't know. What's the average ACR player going to do? I think some are going to peel, some are going to fold. I don't know. I convinced myself into a call. I figure I got the nut non-pair hand here, and I flick in the chip, and he's got 5-3 of clubs for the flush. So
Okay, he did bet the flush there,
yeah,
and yeah, which I think this is some just guy pressing buttons who doesn't know what he's doing.
it may be.
I'm not sure he's supposed to bet the flush there because, like I said, there's just nothing he's supposed to get. He's not supposed to get called by worse. I mean, so infrequently. The king high, like I said, I mean, he's targeting king high
Yeah,
almost because he's not getting called by jacks.
yeah,
Um, and you're snap calling with queens, or so it is really. And he's got a baby flush even, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Uh, so yeah, you kind of got unlucky. You probably are making a pretty good read. I don't think this guy's making some wizardly thin value bet here.
Yeah, because I was thinking, like, is he only putting me on kings here? Is that the only hand he's targeting if he's betting this flush? And I found that I think there's very few people that can. Well, there's far less people that can bet fold on rivers than those that bet and then just call it off out of spite. You know what I mean?
Well, right. I mean, he's folding if you shove. I think unless he's just got another. Yeah, I don't dislike the call, Steve.
Okay.
Bottom line is like again, this would be one of those you could pull out your equity calculator and put it together. Well, how many hands is he turning into a bluff? This is, the mistake Alex is always. He's like people just aren't bluffing as much as you think they are.
Yeah.
They really aren't. The bluffing frequencies aren't nearly as much as they seem. You remember the bluffs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You sit there 8 hours at a poker table, you see one or two sick bluffs, but most of the time when they bet, they have it. So, but, like I said, if this is like a good player who has you ranged properly and saying, well, he probably doesn't have an ace, he would have tried to get a little more value on the turn, then you can turn a bunch of marginal hands into bluffs here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you can do that, then you can start counting out the combinations of how many flushes get there. But like I said, I was questioning whether he would even bet a queen or a flush, which means it's all the ace. The problem is he's got every ace-X combo in his range, so he's got so many of them. They're probably more than the number of pair combos that he's turned into a bluff.
Yeah.
So that's why I was leaning towards the fold there, because
Okay.
even if he's not betting the flushes there,
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I said, if it was the 9 that paired, not the queen, then I'm definitely folding the king high.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Okay. Well.
Is that a wrap, Stevie?
Yeah. You ready to drop the mic?
Yep.
Okay. Me too. I got to go out and get today's Valentine's Day. I got to go out and get the wifey a Valentine's Day gift while they still have a clearance rack up with some Valentine's Day stuff.
Wow.
And, or no, today's the day after Valentine's Day. Oh, it's my mom's birthday. I got to give her a call. And all that jazz. But you have a good rest of the week, Mikey. I'll be talking to you.
Okay, homie.
All right.
Have a great one. Yep.
And thank you for tuning in.
See, whatever you're doing, however you spend your time, that tells you who you are. So think about what it is you like to create in your life experience. Once I look at how you commit your time, once I do an evaluation on how you spend your time, I can tell you exactly what you're committed to. How much time do you spend working on you? How much time do you spend every day working on your dream? In the last 90 days, how many books have you read? In the last year, what new skill or knowledge have you acquired? What kind of investment have you made in you?
A lot of people, as soon as they punch out, they rush home to sit on the couch. They rush home to do nothing. They rush home just to sit there and figure out, okay, I'm going to go to sleep, do it all tomorrow.
You have to give it everything you got. No more TV, no more parties, no more playing. If you don't have a 4.0, what you need to be doing is studying.